In 2013, Kentech Inc. introduced our groundbreaking and innovative conversational 3D options for our KipwareM, our conversational CNC programming software for milling. Without any drawing and using a simple fill-in-the-blank form, users are able to create 3D G-code programs for shapes such as tapered cones and tapered holes, tapered bosses and tapered pockets, curved surface, horizontal and vertical troughs, male and female bending dies, and even a bowl shape. All of these complex shapes can be created using a simple fill-in-the-blank form. This innovative and groundbreaking feature shook the conversational world to its core, and Kipware became the premier conversational CNC programming software, whether PC-based or machine control-based. No other conversational software on the market has this innovative and groundbreaking feature. Today we're going to introduce you to the same innovative and groundbreaking philosophy and design in our KipwareT software. We're able to take a complicated shape like this with radiuses in the corners, tapers, and create the G-code program to rough and or finish this shape using a conversational fill-in-the-blank form. This feature allows users who don't have CAD experience or don't want to spend the time making a drawing to create quality, efficient G-code program using a simple fill-in-the-blank form. So as we take you through these options, we hope that you'll consider KipwareT and KipwareM to add to your arsenal of programming tools on your shop floor. So as we get ready to create the G-code program for the part, let's take a kind of an in-depth look at the part and see how it relates to the conversational menu inside of KipwareT. The menu we'll be using is what we call the simple turning menu, and basically inside the KipwareT simple turning menu we're describing an element. We have an unlimited number of elements. An element contains two, let's call them lines that describe the element. So in each of the elements that we describe, we'll have a vertical line and a horizontal line. And we'll have three corners. Corner 1, corner 2 is the inside corner, and then corner 3. And then you can see as we connect the elements together, then this corner becomes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. As many as we need. We can have an unlimited number of elements consisting of diameters and faces. And each one of these corners can have a radius or a chamfer. So corner 1 could have a chamfer, a corner 2 could have an inside radius, and corner 3 could have either a chamfer or a radius. And you can see in the case that we have here, corner 1 has a radius, corner 2 has an inside radius, and corner 3 here we're going to describe as this 30 degrees chamfer. So it's not simple corner breaks, it can be major tapers, major angles. These radiuses could be huge. Inside the software we're going to create a roughing toolpath which is going to rough along the radius, and in this case rough along this taper, and then come back and do a semi-finish and finish cut if we so desire. So it's a very powerful menu, and as I described, each of the elements that we input into the drawing is going to have a vertical line and a horizontal line and three different corners. So let's take a look at the menu and get started creating the program. So here we are in the main screen of KipwareT, and we're going to select our simple turning menu. And you can see this is a little bit of the description that I described before, is that we have a vertical line, a horizontal line, and corner 1, 2, and 3. So let's start to describe our part and show you the power of this form that can do really complicated tapers, radiuses, and angles, not just simple corner breaks. We're talking major roughing along radiuses and chamfers to be able to create this part. So we've got our number 1, which is going to be our first element, and it's always the last element here along the part. So we work our way from the back of the part to the front of the part. And again, we can have an unlimited number of these elements that describe a vertical and horizontal line. So our first element is going to be minus 2.4, and then there's 3 inches. So corner 1 basically, which is right here. So let's describe this as diameter A, which is going to be 3 inches, and coordinate Z1, which is going to be minus 2.400. I'll pull up the part again. You can see that we're describing this particular corner right here. Then we're going to describe corner, the second element, which is going to be this element here. So the diameter B, which is the diameter of this, which is 2 inches, and coordinate Z2, which is going to be here. So we described corner 1, and now we're describing corner 2. And Z is going to be minus 600. And now we're going to describe the corners. So we have the diameter and face for each of the 2 corners. Now we're going to describe what happens on the 3 corners of the part. So you can see from the drawing here that we have these radiuses are basically 200. So we have a 200, a 200, and then we've got this 30-degree taper. So corner 1, we're going to tell it that it's a radius, and it's 200 thousandths. Corner 2 is a radius, 200 thousandths. And corner 3 is going to be a chamfer. And you can see that we can describe the angle, so we could have any taper. It doesn't have to be 45 degrees, it could be 30 degrees, 10 degrees, whatever the angle is, there's no limitation on what you can put in here. So the distance of the corner is going to be 1.299. If you can see the print, you can see that the distance of the taper is 1.299. And the angle is 30 degrees from the bottom, but the form is looking for the angle from the vertical face. So this is going to be 60 degrees. When we're done describing it, we hit add to the elements, and now we have that element described in here. And we can make any changes that we want. We can edit the element, we bring it back on this side of the form, and we can make any changes that we want to do to that element. So let's say I want to make this a 30-degree angle. Very easy to do, just hit the save edits. It's going to go back in the form here. Well, I'm going to just make it go back to 60, hit the save edits, and we're good. And you can see that the software automatically now takes this corner number 3 and makes it corner number 1 as we continue down the form. So this becomes 1, 2, 3, and then now on the next element it automatically becomes corner 1, 2, 3. So the software automatically puts the elements in there for us. So corner 1 is 2 and minus 6. The next one is the bottom of the form, so it's going to be this diameter here. So it's going to be this corner. So we've already got our corner 1, corner 2, and then corner 3. So we're going to describe corner 3 here. The diameter is going to be 1/2 inch, and Z is going to be the 0 point, the face of the part. So we've already got corner 1 described as a 30-degree angle. Corner 2 has no radius, and then corner 3 has a radius of 200 thousandths. And add to the elements. So we have 2 elements, and we've described them. We can go back and edit them. We could have an unlimited number of these elements. So as I mentioned, if you had 10 or 20 diameters, doesn't matter. We're not talking simple 45-degree or 90-degree radiuses. We're talking anything that you need to describe the part. So in this top of the form, we're describing basically the coordinates and the dimensions of the part. In this side, we're describing the cutting parameters. So the amount of clearance is going to be 50 thousandths an X. This means wherever the tool needs to wrap it around the part, it's going to use 100 thousandths diameter as the clearance amount. Clearance amount in Z is 50. We're going to take a 50 thousandths depth of cut. We're going to leave a 10 thousandths for finish. We're going to retract 50 thousandths, so every time the tool takes a depth of cut, we're going to retract it 50 thousandths, bring it back to the front, and come back and take another cut. And now we're going to get into the feed rates for the part. So I'm going to use my KipwareT CSF. I'm going to select my material, 4150 steel. I'm using a carbide insert. I'm going to hit the calculate button. And now the software will go look in our database that we've created of cutting parameters for materials and tooling. It'll calculate the surface feet and the inches per rev. And when I hit the record button, it'll automatically put it into the form. And you can see, since we only have rough turning selected, we're only going to get the roughing feed rate. And a little bit further in that vein is that very powerful again in the software is we can do rough turning, which is going to be along the z-axis. We can do rough facing, which is going to take cuts along the x-axis. And the same thing is we can do finish turning and finish facing. We could do separate cycles, or we could combine them together. Just to make a quicker video, I'm going to combine them together, and I'm going to do finish turning now too. So I'm going to start my CSF again, and it knows now that I'm doing rough and finish turning. So I'm going to go back, 4150 steel, select my carb, do my calculate. Now I get both roughing and finishing, and both roughing and finishing go into the form. So I can create the program in two ways. I can create the program using a CAN cycle, or I could create a program using the longhand G-code. In my particular case, I'm going to use the longhand G-code. When I click the button, the software goes through, creates the G-code program, and puts the program up into the tree. And what I can do now is using the included KipwareT toolpath plotting software, I can go through and I can plot my part. So if I select the cycle I want to plot, hit the KipwareT logo, you can see that the program, the G-code program that was written, is already loaded in the plot box. And basically I can just hit the plot button. This is all created through that conversational form that we did. This is the G-code program. Let me blow it up a little bit so we can see it a little bit better. And you can see what's going to happen is here we're going to do depth of cut along the radiuses in the chamfer. Then we're going to take a semi-finish cut to clean up the roughing passes, and then I'm going to come back and do a finish cut with the same tool. So here's my depth of cut all the way along the taper. It's my semi-finish cut, and then my finish cut. Let me show you how easy it is to go back into the form and make a change. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do double click this, brings this all back into the form. Everything that I've created, the elements that I created, I can come back and I can edit. What I'm going to do in my particular case is I'm going to change this to rough facing. So I'm going to rough it by facing it, and then I'm going to finish it by turning it. So let's create the program. Let's bring it back into KipwareT and watch and see what the toolpath looks like. So now you can see what we're doing is we're doing roughing passes along the z-axis and x-axis. We're going to do a semi-finish and then a finish cut. So let me go back again and do some other changes. Let's say that I want to do roughing with this tool and finishing with another tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the roughing. I'm going to create the program. So now it's just going to be the roughing program. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this cycle. I'm going to call it simple turning finishing. And now I've made a complete copy of this particular cycle. I'm going to bring it up in the form again. Again, everything is editable. I'm just going to turn off the facing and I'm going to turn on the turning. So I'm going to create the longhand G-code program. And now I've got two cycles. I've got a roughing and a finishing. Let's plot the finishing cycle just so we can see what it looks like. And there's the finish pass. If I want to plot everything that's up in the cycle, I can hit the KipwareT. It's going to load everything for me, and now I'm going to see I'm got roughing in this particular way, facing, semi-finish cut, and then it's going to come back and do my finish cut. So very powerful cycle to create a different kind of shapes, not just simple corner breaks, not just taking the corners in one pass. We're actually going through and doing roughing passes along the radiuses, along the tapers, any angle that you want, any size radius that you want. Everything can come back into the form. Everything can be editable. Very powerful form. A very powerful feature inside of KipwareT. This is really a game changer for conversational programming, as you can create a very complex shape, no drawing required, inside the conversational software. So I would like to thank you for taking your time and looking at our KipwareT features, and I hope you'll consider Kipware Conversational if you're considering conversational software for your shop floor. Thank you.